Hey everyone, Melo, yesterday's latest unit in FFBE, and we're also getting a new NVA. We didn't get one last week, but this time around it's Ignacio, our axe flame guy. So let's check them out. Are they good? Are they bad? We shall find out within the next few minutes. So, Melo in his base form is a magic wind and water chainer, and in his brave shift he is a true magic water LB finisher, a one-trick pony, so to speak. And by the way, if you're wondering whether I'll be showcasing Melo in this video, the answer is nope. And there's a simple reason for that. I'm not gonna use him until Dark Vision arrives. I don't have enough LB pods. And he's of no use to me until we get to the final stages of Dark Visions. So I'm procrastinating, or postponing is the actual word, but I'd like to use the word procrastinate because that is what it actually is, on Melo until he's actually useful for once and for one Dark Visions only, because Lunar Freya is next month and that is the time when Melo becomes irrelevant. But yeah, so much for that. Let's check out Melo's abilities. As you can see, he doesn't really have that much. So he can triple cast his brave shift stuff and lingering drops, as well as most of the other things. And what is already striking probably is Bubble Mark. Bubble Mark is only a 250 magic increase, which is an insult to basically any Neo Vision unit these days. Especially because it's to himself. Yeah, I know you can buff his magic up to 500 in his Brave Shift, but that is consumed upon using his LB. So at the end of things, this is a 250 magic increase. It's an insult to any NV unit these days. And yeah, it does also amplify water and wind damage by physical by 15%. But really? Really? What's also funny is he gains quad cast on black magic, but not on his lingering drops. Or billowing wind for that matter. So that's another thing I really don't like about his kit. On the passive side of things, at least he's a dual wield 6x mod cap mage. He has the upside of being a Reaper specialist, so he's good against Reapers. He has 150 Reaper killer innate. But as you can see from his kit, he doesn't buff Reaper Killer. So at the end of days, you don't gain much. It's a little bit easier to build him for Reapers, but that's all about it. He doesn't do anything for the team. He doesn't do anything for himself other than having some innate Reaper Killer. Alright, and yeah, when you equip his TMR or STMR, you also gain a little bit of better modifiers on his black magic stuff, because as you might have seen, black magic spells such as the Eroja spells, they got upgraded. They actually deal some significant amount of damage now, and we'll get to that in a few seconds. But first let's check his base LB, which is a 100x modifier water magic damage to all enemies with 24 hits, meaning on paper, this should chain well with Lightning or any other Absolute Mirror of Equity chain, but we've seen with Lightning that doesn't always apply. We'll see. It remains to be seen whether this is actually feasible to chain with other Absolute Mirror of Equity chainers. Now, the aforementioned magic spells, here they are. They are the same for the base and the Brave Shift, which is why I'm putting this right in between the base and the Brave Shift. So, when you pull for Melo, and I made sure that this is the case, you can upgrade his Waterja, Eroga and Waterga spells. In a game you need the old materials for that, the old crystals that is, the black ones in particular. So they do have a little bit of use these days, and they will continue to have use throughout the next units we'll be getting. I know for sure that, for example, Descendant of Cetra Aerith also uses the crystals we formerly used to farm and had a shortage of they are useful again. So make sure you farm them up, because future units are also going to use the ability awakenings again, and not only the brave insignia materials. So yeah, Waterja, Eroga, Waterga, as you can see, they do have decent modifiers, and they get upgraded by wearing his Trustmaster or Super Trustmaster. Okay, his Brave Shift abilities. It gets even smaller, the list of active abilities, as you can see. And here's the kicker. Check out Magic Tool Amplifier and Lasing Burst. It's a 1 use per battle effect. Now, you also see probably I can't call everything a pain, which increases magic by 50% up to a maximum of 500%. Sounds cool on paper until you realize you have only a triple cast available, meaning you need 4 turns to actually power this up entirely, and then you fire off his limit burst. And we'll get to that in a second, what that also does. So, on the passive side of things, nothing too special. It's pretty much copy and paste from base form. Now, what's not mentioned in here, in his Brave Shift, but once you use his LB, the aforementioned, excuse me for going back, but if you use his Limit Burst or any other magic spell, that is, I can't call everything a pain, the 500 max magic boost is used up. It's gone. Keep that in mind. And what's also true then is that you cannot use Magic Tool Amplifier and Lasing Burst anymore, because these are once per battle uses. So Sage's Stream, his 110x water magic damage finishing move, it's a 1 hit, is technically speaking a once per battle LB, because Melo doesn't have any LB modifiers after his first fire. And that is why Melo is an absolutely useless unit if you cannot one-shot things with him. So for trials, if you cannot one-shot a trial, Melo is useless. For Dark Visions, should we ever get something such as Dark Kokurayo again, he's useless. To a certain degree though. So yeah, what does that leave Melo at? For Dark Visions, still for the final mage stages, he's going to be your go-to guy. While the 110x LB modifier doesn't seem high, it really hits like a truck just because you have to add the 500% magic increase on top of things. So when it comes to finishing, he's pretty good, but with Lunar Freya on the horizon, being less than 5 weeks away from now, yeah, he's not gonna last very long, is he? But let's check out his Trustmaster and Super Trustmaster, because that is where it's at. If you want to pull for Melo, it's probably because either his Materia or Trustmaster or Super Trustmaster. The Trustmaster reward is 50% magic and 50% LB damage. It is our first true magic-focused LB materia. Excellent choice if we cared about magic percent, because we don't. And if you're having trouble to reach the 400% magic percent, you're doing it wrong. Just saying. But it's still good for units that struggle with magic percent and LB alike, but there is none. I haven't encountered a single one though. Maybe you did, but I didn't. It's still a good materia nonetheless. Don't get me wrong, the 50% LB damage is fine. We don't get these very often. I would have preferred 75% to be honest, but that is probably STMR range already. But I would have preferred that this is a 75% LB damage materia. Hands down, nothing else on it. That's it. Would have been fine. It'd been an excellent materia slot. The Rod, on the other hand, is STMR. That is another story. 180 magic, an eligible 28 attack, but 50% LB damage increase. You've seen me use Black Rosalia, that is Delta Secura's STMR, all the time when I used Ferrous, because I don't have two Ferrous STMR. Now, since I pulled Melo, maybe, just maybe someday down the road, I will actually get his STMR and use it on Ferrous, unless I pull a second Ferrous STMR. But his Super Trustmaster is best in slot for every non-evocation magic finisher. Although I should state that some magic evocation DPSers would probably prefer a little bit more limit burst damage. It really depends whether you're using Realm or not. Because if there's a Realm attached to it, you might want to use one STMR, say on Terra or Ferrous, and his STMR then. It's just super good, but it has a little bit of an issue with low base magic. We've got Terra's STMR, for example, at 190 magic. I feel like 180 is a little bit too little, if you know what I mean. It's good, but it's not the best, so to speak. But it's a super good Super Trustmaster. Anyway, so this is just nitpicking. It's finding issues when no issues are, to be honest. It's my German genes. It's just that. It's a super good Super Trustmaster. Don't get me wrong, it's just nitpicking. I want it to be perfect. That is the word I was looking for. But anyways, let's move on to the Vision card. The Vision card, decent animation. It's one of the weaker ones from my point of view. We've seen better. But anyway, level 1 40 base magic, level 10 100 base magic, which is fine. The passives 40% magic if we are wearing a rod. And at level 10 FFBE units only gain 15% water, physical and or magic amplification, which is pretty sweet. It's a decent Vision card. It has decent base magic. It has a little bit lower magic percent than Saul's Vision card. It has 100%, but it's still fine as is. And it has undispellable 15% water amp, which is pretty sweet for FFBE units that want that. It is a good card in general, but it is only so good A on himself, and B if the unit that is supposed to wear it, the FFBE unit, does not have a water amplification on its own. So for example, who'd be a good example for this? Last gen. Last gen is not a good example. But still, let's just take last gen. If you want to finish off a boss with water, and you're good to go on last gen, right? You could make a corner solution where this would be good on last gen. Not saying it is. It's probably absolutely not, because it doesn't have any attack. But this is the way you could think of it, right? But the truth is, you're probably only gonna use this on Melo and nobody else. But still, 15% water physical magical amp for units, future units that might come down the road. Maybe it's useful to them. Who knows? So let's check out a potential build for Melo. This is assuming he's wearing 2 of his STMRs and his Trustmaster. And please note, it states 250 LB damage. The reason is, the builder at the time of making this video, which was yesterday evening, the builder wasn't updated to have Melo's Vision card. So you need to add 50% magic damage to the equation, but the magic itself at 4488 should stay the same, because both have the 100 base magic. Alright. So, and he's pretty flexible to gear, by the way, too. So I only put on Corrupted Emperor, so he reaches his 400 magic percent, but this is without any item world enhancements to both weapons. He is missing, I believe, 20% magic, and getting 20% on both rods shouldn't be an issue through item world, once it returns at the end of the month, that is. But other than that, you could also make a case for using Dark Gambantine, for example, the Dark Visions rod that you can push up to level 10, and you probably have that already with good item world rolls, so that is also a possibility, but you'd need 50% LB damage from somewhere else in that case. But still, he's very flexible to gear. As you can see, you will end up with 2-3 materia slots that you can use for whatever, pretty much. You can use this for more killers, you can use this for resistances or immunities if the boss requires some. So it's pretty sweet. He's easy to gear, as you can see, and with Minister's Code I put this on specifically because Minister's Code gets upgraded sometime down the line with the Final Fantasy XI banner. It gains 50% LB damage on top of everything it has. So it is not only now the best in slot chest slot for every mage, it is the absolutely best in slot chest slot for everyone, well, every mage I should say, down the line. Now, Melo's rotation is super simple. You start off in Brave Shift, on turn 1 and 2 and 3, you're gonna use triple cast I Can't Call Everything a Pain. On turn 4, you're gonna use I Can't Call Everything a Pain a last time. That is, as you can see, it's 50, or as you know, it's 50% magic increase per use. So on turn 1 you have 150, after turn you have 300, after turn 3 you have 450, and on turn 4 you gain the 500% magic boost. You use Magic Tool Amplifier, you use Lasing Burst for the 150 LB increase, and you're good to go on turn 5, where you fire off his LB and pray that the boss is dead by then, otherwise Melo's damage drops to almost 0. Well, you can still chain with him, but I consider this doing 0 damage. That's all about Melo. Let's check out Ignacio. So, Ignacio in his base form gains 3 new abilities. He gains a 25% Axe Imperil, which is poor. We don't have an Axe Imperil yet. And he also gains some fire attacks, one that also amplifies fire damage to the party, 15%. It's not really much, to be honest, but it's something. And it also deals a decent amount of damage in Absolute Mirth Equity chains. What you might not know is Eat Well, Train Well. That is one of his passives, which upgrades his normal attacks to Flame Lord's Blow. And Flame Lord's Blow is fire physical damage 43x, and it also decreases fire resistance by 120% for 3 turns to 1 enemy. His LB also got an upgrade. It now is doing weird things. So it's 6 chain for the first part of it, and the 45x with 50% defense ignore to 1 enemy is a single hit. It's a weird one. It's DR, Divine Ruination chains. You're probably never gonna use that, to be honest. And his Brave Shift is more of the same. So he still retains his Axe Imperil, he retains Flame Stamp, but he gains a few actual good finishing moves, such as Burning Stamp and Incinerating Stamp. And what's cool is you can also triple cast all of this. Well, you can triple cast everything, but Incinerating Stamp is unique selection on multicast. So keep that in mind. The rest of it, the passives, nothing too surprising. He has 100% LB damage innately, which is fine as is, because he is a fire physical 115 modifier finisher with Raging Hellfire. It is a low modifier though, so don't get your hopes up. Ignacio really doesn't do much damage. And one of the reasons is, as you can see, he's missing the 6x chain mod cap. He's not a true dual wield unit, he is an actual true double hand unit, so you're forced to use things such as Neo Vision Lightning's STMR on him to boost his damage. And what's also bad is he only has plants and beast killers innately, but he has no buffs for that otherwise, which is kind of bad. So how do Melo and Ignacio fare in the meta? Melo is absolute trash tier for anything but trials or Dark Visions bosses that you want to one-shot. Again, if you're facing a final mage boss in Dark Visions, Melo is good, but for everything else, he is absolutely useless. You're better off using Shuyu, for example, for the trial we got yesterday, Scorn of Erinis. Melo, it's gonna take you a few turns. Think of Melo as our newest version of Neo Vision Laswell. Did you ever use Neo Vision Laswell for anything else other than Dark Visions? The answer is probably no. And that applies to Melo as well. Chaining in base is awkward, just because he only has a 250 magic increase. And yeah, like I said, he's a literal one-trick pony in Brave Shift, because after being once, all the good buffs are gone. And Ignacio, well, literally nothing to see here. 25 X-Wing Perilous, cool on paper, but nobody uses Axis. His STMR got upgraded, yes, but it's not usable at all. Trust me, it's still bad. It's only funny if you want to meme it up, but that's about it. And it's such a bad meme, not even I'm gonna consider doing that one. And I do have Ignacio's STMR. So should you pull? If you care enough about Dark Vision's high scores, you can actually make a point for pulling Melo. He's going to hit hard, very hard even, just once. I got Melo, I pulled, I used tickets to be honest, for him just because of that single reason. If I didn't get Melo with my 12 tickets, I would have been done, I would have not cared, it would have been fine. I got him, I'm gonna use him in about a month from now when we get the final stages of Dark Visions. But that's about it. He's never gonna see use again. He's just a bench warmer. So yeah, the answer is do not pull if you don't care about Dark Visions. And Ignacio, you might have guessed it, he's trash. It's as simple as that. Oh, and by the way, get Frisia's Poncho++, it's a craftable materia, and Facing the Past, which is a regular reward from doing the story event. It's a 50% magic Reaper killer, so get this. Get it, get it, get it. It's pretty sweet. Or Undead, the game states Undead killer, but Undead Reaper, it's always the same. Both are very good, get them, because the Frisia's Poncho++ is a 50% true dual wield accessory. Alright, and that concludes today's banner review. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see each other tomorrow again for another special video I'm preparing. The next one is going to talk about my top 5 units I am looking forward to. You guys know 2 of those already? Maybe 3, but yeah, you'll see. And do have a... Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to mention, and this is obviously a spoiler, 2 out of these 5 units you're going to see are Avalanche, Tifa, and Luna Freya. So you know 2 out of the 5, but the other 3 you're gonna see. And with that, have a nice Friday evening, or morning, or afternoon, wherever you're from, and we'll see each other tomorrow. Bye bye.